Lots of Tesla stock news today. We'll start with Cathie Wood, and I like her a lot, but ARK Invest just sold Tesla stock twice. Actually, their position went down from 11.38% to now 11% exactly. I think Cathie Wood actually would do better if she followed her own advice that she gave to all investors when she spoke with Grant Cardone earlier this year when Tesla stock was trading at $180 per share. Usually they say, do what others do instead of just doing what they tell you to do. But in this case, you should do, I think, what Cathie tells us to do instead of doing what she does herself. She said, just buy it and never trade it. Don't look at it for another 10 years or so. Just leave it alone. Don't trade it. If she would have done that, then her fund would have been up significantly in the last 5 years. And in theory, up to 25% of her fund could be in Tesla stock. She just can't buy more once the position reaches 10%. Tesla has removed the Model Y all-wheel drive 4680 variant from their US website. This means the Model Y now starts at $50,490 in the US before incentives. Some say this is bad news because Tesla is not making enough 4680 batteries, or these batteries are not good enough to put in the cars, and therefore this is terrible. Tesla is failing badly. But I say this is actually good news, because why would you take away these 4680 cells from the Model Y, which work just fine? I mean, you are ramping up 4680 battery production. You're not scaling it down, you are scaling it up. So therefore, are you just throwing these batteries away? What's going on? Well, I think this is good news because these batteries will be allocated for the Cybertruck production. In the relatively near future, I think Tesla is hoping to make at least the number of Cybertrucks equal to the number of Model Y all-wheel drive 4680 vehicles produced. So while some will certainly say that this story is a negative story, I say this is a positive story because it indicates that the Cybertruck is indeed coming very soon. We also know that the Texas factory is shut down. It is shut down for upgrades. So after these shutdowns, I'm wondering, what is Tesla going to do? Obviously, this model is now canceled, but you don't shut down a factory and do upgrades to make the factory worse. You shut it down and upgrade it to make it better. Also, if you listen to the last earnings call, you will remember the cyber cell. So if you already have a cell, a battery cell that's better than your previous one, why keep using the old ones? Why just not upgrade the old ones and use the new ones? At the time of the earnings call, Tesla was still looking to launch the cyber cell. It was not launched yet, but now I think they are pretty much here. I bet these upgrades have something to do with this cyber cell. Gary has a positive take about this story as well. He had some concerns about Tesla potentially cutting prices further, but instead Tesla might want to allocate more 4680 cell production capacity to Cybertruck. There is insane demand for Cybertruck, but the demand for a Model Y, well, there's inventory, there's no waiting list, but there's a crazy waiting list for the Cybertruck, so it makes sense to do this. Now, there was this story that Cybertruck deliveries could start in a few days. This was all based on a conversation with someone from Tesla. Someone said from Tesla, delivery should be starting in a few days, specifically speaking about the Cybertruck. But Tesla clarified that these are not official statements, and officially there is no timeline for the release of the Cybertruck. This raises some serious questions. Morgan Stanley bought 5.87 million more shares of Tesla and 6.19 million more shares of Nvidia before upgrading their Tesla price target to $400 per share. They did not buy just $6 million worth of Tesla. They bought almost 6 million shares. Now, am I complaining? No. But is this game somewhat rigged if you are a trader? Yeah, I think so. And that's one reason why I don't play these games. If you trade every day, it's not too difficult to lose because you're playing a rigged game. But if you invest for the long term, you can't really rig that all too much. We are hearing more about Giga Mexico. Tesla plans to deliver today a letter of intent to basically, I guess, formalize the next steps that are needed to be taken, which could possibly mean that Tesla is about to start building that factory. That article was translated from Spanish to English, so maybe a few words were lost in translation, but this seems like overall Good news. According to the local governor, access and mobility works for Gigafactory Mexico will start soon. Now, he's a politician, so maybe we should not really trust him all that much. And if you look at his earlier track record, he said that the construction would begin earlier and then it didn't. But now we know likely that was because of Tesla wanting to build the next generation vehicle in Texas first. Also, interestingly, he said that Tesla and suppliers alone are going to generate $15 billion of investment in 2 years. And I think he's probably not making these numbers up completely, because that includes Tesla suppliers as well. So that's not just an investment from Tesla alone. We have some great news here for Tesla stock investors. The UAW strike against Ford, GM, and Stellantis has now officially begun. The strike began at midnight, and this is what it sounded like initially, immediately, basically, after it began. Well, that's an interesting time of choice to begin the strike at midnight. This is completely unprecedented. A simultaneous strike on Ford, GM, and Stellantis has never happened in the UAW's 88-year history. It could have devastating consequences, and I agree. For example, step 1, demand a 40% pay raise. Step 2, get a 100% pay cut because the company you work for goes bankrupt because it could not afford to pay you an extra 40%, while all of these companies are trying to transition to EV production. Steven thinks that smaller pay increases will be negotiated after more strikes, which will also cause the Detroit 3 to go bankrupt, but slower. None of these companies can afford to increase pay for their employees at a time when they are already on the road to bankruptcy due to the EV transition. Also, earlier this year, I saw the Ford CEO on TV talking about how Ford increased the dividend paid to its shareholders. So instead of investing in the EV transition more heavily, they are investing in their shareholders. So I can understand why the union would also want a bigger increase in pay. Maybe they think the company is doomed either way, so maybe in the meantime at least pay us more. It is important to note that currently the strike doesn't include all unionized US auto workers. Of the 146,000 UAW workers in the US, only 12,700 of them have walked off the job for the time being, at one plant for each of the 3 automakers. What is crazy though is that GM is actually up today so far, 1%, and so is Ford, and then Tesla, well, Tesla so far is down slightly. Keep in mind though that the markets today so far are down, so Tesla is actually outperforming the markets, but Ford and GM are outperforming the markets even more then. Speaking of supply, Tesla has run out of Model 3s to deliver in Europe, and Troy thinks that the Model 3 Highland demand is going to be very good once the sales start. Elon Musk is expected to meet the Prime Minister of Israel in Silicon Valley on Monday. Drive Tesla Canada reports that a Superior Court of Quebec judge has given the green light for a class action lawsuit to proceed against Tesla. This is about Tesla's bad paint work, and this would include about 15,000 Tesla vehicles sold in Quebec, mostly Model 3s, and Tesla would have to pay at least $1,000 for each vehicle, plus however much these owners had to pay to have their vehicles repaired. So anyone who notices any significant paint issues within their first 48 months of ownership are allowed to participate in this lawsuit. And is this fair? Well, if I had paint issues like this on my car, I would not be happy. Now, our Model 3 is fine, but my friend just bought a Model X back in December of last year, and he has a few problems with the paint. He went for a car wash and he noticed that the car, it did not handle the car wash very well. He previously owned a BMW and he never had any issues like that. And he's not complaining just for the sake of complaining. It's a real issue. But in the long term, I'm sure Tesla will eventually fix it, but this could still be a problem. Tesla has released a Model 3 powered liftgate retrofit for $800. This was available in China before, but now you can also get it in the US. However, it's already out of stock. The chief futurist of ARK Invest, Brett Winton, just said it's intellectually interesting to me that people still argue that the industry will catch and kill Tesla when there is plenty of evidence that Tesla is accelerating away. Speaking of the leak from yesterday that showed us some new details about Tesla's gigacasting technology. Tesla began sounding out potential investors on Thursday, so yesterday, for a new $1.8 billion securitization of its electric vehicle leases, its largest yet according to preliminary marketing materials and Fitch ratings. Basically, the proceeds can be used by Tesla to make more leases. Last week, Tesla's management met up with investors. All of this happened in Europe, and Deutsche Bank put out this new note. Cybertruck is on track for start of production and deliveries in Q4 with 250,000 in target annual capacity. Tesla sounded excited for a halo effect on demand for its other vehicles. The vehicle is a product specific to the US market and will be the only product so far using only 4680 structural battery pack cells. In addition, the company is using 46.8 volts for electronics on Cybertrucks for the first time, as well as 1000 volts for powertrain versus 400 previously. Tesla indicated it is difficult to estimate how many Cybertrucks can be made in 2023 and 2024, since it will depend on the shape of the vehicle production ramp and 4680. Several new technologies also complicate the ramp, including stainless steel body and the 46.8 volt architecture. And here are a few things about the next generation platform. Tesla indicated the next generation platform is its most important hardware project right now. It is by far its largest growth opportunity, with the platform potentially supporting 5 million units of annual production across multiple top hats. Previously we heard, and these were just rumors, we heard 4 million. Now, from official sources, we are hearing 5 million a year, and yet Wall Street only expects Tesla to deliver, well under 10 million vehicles in 2030. I think they will be so wrong. Vehicles on the next generation platform will be made at plants around the world and not only Mexico. Mexico plant will only make next generation vehicles. I haven't seen the original source, but I assume this is correct. Ron Barron supposedly has this math of the next generation vehicle that Tesla will make, and he says that the cost of goods sold will be $17,500 for the next generation vehicle. So basically it will be half as expensive to make, and that the average selling price will be $28,000. Elon Musk just made a comment about the UAW strike related to it. Walter Isaacson, who wrote the biography of Elon Musk, which was just released, spent a lot of time with me in meetings, says Elon, but much less time walking the factory floor. Tesla and SpaceX factories have a great vibe. We encourage playing music and having some fun. Very important for people to look forward to coming to work. We pay more than the UAW, by the way, but performance expectations are also higher. Quite a few of our factory techs who work on the line have become millionaires over the years from company stock grants. There's a new software update for Tesla vehicles. Tesla has rolled out another set of improvements to its service mode. Service mode is a specialized function initially reserved for service technicians, but is accessible to Tesla vehicle owners. This new update includes a new separate session where users can access release notes that are specific to service mode. There's also more, but it gets a bit technical. Gary Blatt just shared Wall Street's latest Tesla estimates, and I agree with James that this is proof that the market does not believe in Tesla's version of its future. FSD impact on Tesla's business will not be priced into consensus estimates until Tesla can prove they can monetize it beyond the current sales level. This means if FSD bulls are proven right, which I believe they will be, Tesla is ludicrously undervalued. I actually just published my valuation model on Patreon, and you can also see exactly how much I am willing to pay for Tesla stock each year between 2023 and 2033. My position is that Tesla will dominate, and that's one reason why my whole stock portfolio is in Tesla stock. If you want to see exactly why I am so excited about Tesla stock, click on that link down in the pinned comment. Join Patreon and you will see exactly what I'm talking about. I also did a 40-minute walkthrough of my valuation model, and one word that I used a lot throughout these 40 minutes was conservative. Conservative, conservative, this is conservative, this is conservative, this is conservative, this is conservative, I should be a little bit higher here, this is conservative, and yet I am all in Tesla stock with my stock portfolio. I am also working on a video right now in which I will share my relatively detailed thoughts about Tesla going up versus down in the next 1 to 9 months. It will be exclusively available on Patreon together with all of these other videos. I'm still working on that particular video, but some of these other ones are already published.
If you look at what he's doing for the new next generation car, the $25,000 car, very edgy, futuristic looking.
I can't wait to finally see that car. Bloomberg just published this data. It took 10 years to reach 1 million cumulative EV sales in the US, then 2 years to reach the second, and only 1 year to reach the third million. Many investors, especially on Wall Street, think that the EV adoption is not going to accelerate. I, on the other hand, think that the EV adoption will continue to accelerate fast. I think this is pretty clear evidence. Toyota promises new EVs coming in 2026 with nearly 500 miles of range. We have heard a lot of promises before from Toyota, but the results kept disappointing over and over again. This time is likely going to be no different. Some people are getting quite excited on X. If Tesla continues with this pattern, Tesla price could be $435 by the end of October. Emphasis on if. Here are some more interesting and important details from that Deutsche Bank note. The manufacturing costs of Austin and Berlin are improving, but still above Fremont at present. The company noted that a big piece of the manufacturing cost reduction efforts happen after ramp-up is done and production stabilizes. Tesla is not doing it currently because it is looking to expand production at these locations. Once Austin and Berlin reach more stabilized production levels, they will then be able to implement cost reduction efforts. This opportunity could be larger in 2024 timeframe. Both plants have already achieved 5,000 per week production pace and are looking to expand production further, although not necessarily towards 10,000 per week anymore. While production ramp in Berlin is more straightforward, producing 24/7 is expensive due to labor laws and may not be worth it. All in, 375,000 units per year is a good estimate for full capacity in Berlin. In Austin, the company will continue to ramp up towards whatever its existing production lines are capable of in order to max them out, and it could mean 7, 8, or 9,000 units per week. Here are some details about the refresh Model 3. The company does not use gigacasting on the refresh model, and the battery size and the cells used are exactly the same ones as outgoing model. Improved vehicle range came from aerodynamics and other engineering efforts. The ramp up of the refresh Model 3 should be fairly quick, given the company did not make structural changes to the vehicle like was done to Model S, which saw large delays to ramp back at the time. The refresh was the result of accumulation of improvement ideas over the past 6 years that resulted in the Highland project. There is no plan to produce Model 3 in Europe, as Giga Berlin primarily focused on Model Y production. All Model 3 outside of the United States is produced out of Shanghai and now only manufacturing the refreshed version, with inventory discount taking place for the older model. A few thoughts about FSD. In response to questions about the FSD price reduction to $12,000 from $15,000, the company stated that because there's no equivalent comparable product to consumers, therefore it is more difficult to gauge the appropriate pricing. Pricing on FSD is not set in stone and will continue to evolve as Tesla works to increase FSD penetration of a low attachment rate base and maximizes gross profit generated by FSD. It has chosen a 20% cut to start, with the belief that this magnitude of cost reduction could potentially generate more than 20% change in adoption. Margins on FSD are close to 100%, and while attachment rates on the existing FSD are low, the company is still able to use data collected from its vehicles and learn how good drivers drive, which it is then able to feed to neural nets to teach the computer how to drive. Tesla views end-to-end neural nets as the only way to solve generalized autonomy. The company stated that it will invest billions in AI and into projects like Dojo. Tesla will price its FSD offer to other OEMs so that the customers of these OEMs pay no less than Tesla's customers for the FSD functionality. OEMs would need to make sourcing decisions around now in order to be able to launch a future vehicle in 3 years with FSD. As such, future Tesla revenue from licensing could be several years away. Tesla also said that the interest in licensing full self-driving from other automakers is supposedly high. In my Tesla valuation model, I actually include FSD licensing revenues as well, and you may have a look at that if you click on the link down in the pinned comment. And YouTube says you should watch this video next, but if you haven't finished watching this Elon Musk interview, watch this one first. My name is Matt Posius. Like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.